There are places in Bulgaria you can't reach by accident. You have to want them. You have to follow a road that narrows into a suggestion, drive past pastures where nothing is in a hurry. And somewhere between the Burgas and Sliven regions, the oak forest opens, and a village appears. This is Dabovitsa, a small village in the Kotel Balkan in the Sungurlare municipality. 27 kilometers from Sungurlare, 33 from Kotel, 104 kilometers from Burgas on the Black Sea. This is a place you reach on purpose. Look at the trees along the road. These are oak forests, mesh and sur oak, dense, slow-growing. Hardwood that, as we'll soon see, has decided the fate of this village more than once. In Bulgarian, dab means oak. Dabovitsa, the place of oaks. But the village received that name only in 1978. Before that, for centuries, it was called something completely different. It was called Shehovo. Where does that name come from, Shehovo? Wikipedia is careful with the answer. It doesn't claim certainty. But the clue is in geography. There is a village called Shehovo in present-day Belarus. There is a village called Shehovo near Staraya Russa in Russia. There is Shehovo in the Novgorod region. There is Shehovo near the Russian city of Oryol. In other words, the name Shehovo belongs to a much larger Slavic family of place names scattered across the eastern map of Europe. The Bulgarians who once settled here, in this hollow in the Kotel Balkan, brought the name with them, a quiet linguistic fingerprint of the lands their ancestors once lived in. The modern name, Dabovitsa, came with decree number 1060, dated June 2nd, 1978. It was given for the oak forests we just drove through. But the decree could not erase the older name. To this day, when the locals tell you the story of their village, they begin with the word Shehovo. How old is this place? Older than its name. Older than the records. In 1933, archaeologists from the National Archaeological Museum carried out excavations on a settlement mound here, within the boundaries of this village. And what they found confirmed something the land had been quietly suggesting all along. People have lived here since prehistoric times. And there is another detail. Before the liberation of Bulgaria in 1878, 3 Christian cemeteries already existed in this area. 3. Physical evidence that Bulgarians had lived and died here long before the modern state recognized their presence. Because the 17th century tells us something quite specific about Shehovo. In 1654, Ottoman tax registers recorded that this village was home to 100 Bulgarian Christian households. 100 families, all Bulgarian, all Christian, all paying the jizya, the special tax that, under Ottoman law, was collected only from the non-Muslim subjects of the empire. This is not a guess. It is documented in the historical research of Elena Grozdanova in her book, The Bulgarian Nationality in the 17th Century. She lists Shehovo as one of only 5 villages in the entire Burgas region with a substantial Bulgarian Christian population. 5. In an enormous province under Ottoman administration, Shehovo was one of 5. So, what happened to those 100 families? History happened. Between 1654 and the end of the 19th century, the demographic picture changed completely. Many of the Bulgarian Christians emigrated, pressured, displaced, or simply seeking safer ground further north. Those who remained eventually converted to Islam. By the time of the liberation, there was not a single Bulgarian Christian left in Shehovo, which is why, on the specific date of January 16th, 1878, when a platoon of hussars and volunteers from the 1st Company of the 6th Volunteer Brigade entered the village, they did not find the descendants of those 100 Christian families. What they found instead were 38 families of inhabitants who identified themselves as Turks. 38 families. The same village. In many cases, the same houses. A completely transformed community. This is what 2¼ centuries of imperial pressure can do to a place. It can change everything about it, except the stones. But the story doesn't end there. In the middle of the 19th century, in the run-up to the liberation, a new community began to arrive in these hills. They came from Aegean Thrace, from a village called Gornoseltsi, known in Turkish as Ibrayurin. Bulgarians. Looking for a place where they could continue practicing their trade. And when they reached the hills around Shehovo, what they liked most were the oak forests, because their trade was charcoal burning. The slow, careful production of wood charcoal. You stack dense hardwood into a mound. You cover it with earth. You light it from below. And you watch it for days, smoldering without an open flame. The settlers from Aegean Thrace looked at these oak forests and saw exactly the raw material they needed. So they stayed. And so the village lived its strange demographic spiral. Bulgarian Christian in 1654. Muslim by 1878. Bulgarian again at the end of the 19th century. But Bulgarian Christians who had come from somewhere completely different. 3 populations, 1 hollow in the oak forest. 3 layers, 1 place. Walk slowly through these streets. At the edge of the village, 2 rivers. The Luda Kamchia comes down from Kotel. The Medvenska from the other side of the ridge. They meet right here, which is why Dabovitsa is included in the European Natura 2000 program. And somewhere along these streets, on the outside wall of one ordinary-looking house, someone has painted the Madara horseman, Bulgaria's most famous medieval rock relief, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The painting here is not the work of professional artists. It was made through the joint effort of a group of young people, young men and young women, from the town of Yambol. On the same wall, the map of Greater Bulgaria. One single house turned into a small historical monument. The street it stands on now bears its name, Madara Street. Every year, on the first Saturday of September, the First City Brass Band of Kotel comes down this road and plays in the courtyard of the Chitaliște. The village wakes up, people come back, and the village, briefly and gloriously, becomes itself again. Dabovitsa is not a place that asks for attention. No museum, no road sign. If you didn't already know to come, you would never come. But that is why this village has survived. Thank you for walking with me through Dabovitsa.